I realized as I was watching throughout the week, looking at all the names, that pretty much all that I would be doing, especially for the first two-thirds of the day, would be just going around collecting hero cards in the pits. That would be what I
Yes,
would be doing.
yes, yep. Because of all the new people and all the people that you don't have anything from yet. Yep, I would agree.
That would be the only thing I'd be doing until like, oh, hey, I want to watch the A features, and otherwise I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go around and collect cards.
Speeding up, no slowing down.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast for episode 25 of season 4. Just the two hooligans here today, but we have plenty to talk about with myself, Mason, and John Breckle for this week. John, how are you doing? I see you are once again in parts unknown.
Yes, after Mason the Seitz Memorial, they decided they had to put me in witness protection again. So
Well, if you had seen some of his shenanigans as a fan, I can totally understand that.
this is true. I was actually a fan of the grandstands, and I was with Mason this time at the racing event. And yeah, after this past weekend, I had to get put in witness protection again because I was too much of a crazy race fan and not being so much of a regular, announcer slash helper like I typically am around the racetracks. But no, overall, I am traveling for work again this week. I am out in the Washington D.C. area. I will be back later on this week, just in time to enjoy the WISSOTA 100. So I'm doing well.
Yeah. So you're racking up the miles in like the busiest part of the year. So I can only imagine, especially after probably, well, it's not even the following week, you're going to be pretty well ready to kind of like lay low for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to be ready because work gets really busy in October just because we have our quarterly reporting that we always do. And so I'm going to be a lot of hours at the office, which honestly is okay with me because I'll take the breaks to go bowling on a couple of those nights, to get out there to bowl league because league is back into full session. But I'll also be in one of those areas to where I can finally just kind of I don't have to do anything from like racing related stuff. I'll kind of just lay low, go to the bowling alley, clear my mind from work, but I can be fully focused kind of on the work slash then transition into bowling tournament season, which Mason, as you know, gets really busy towards year end.
Yes. We do not see John too much when it comes to like probably late November on through maybe February.
About the end of February, I'm usually pretty jam packed on bowling nights, work nights, bowling weekends, get home on Sundays, work for about 4 hours, then get back ready to go to the office again on Monday. And yeah, it's just like the revolving cycle as we get towards that time of the year.
Basically, I equate it to the way I go during the summers, how John goes with bowling during the winter.
That is correct. The amount of miles that we put on during the wintertime with bowling tournaments, it's impressive too compared to, the amount of miles that Mason puts on during the season with racing. We put on a lot of miles racing too within the summertime. But Mason, I don't get anywhere close to the number of miles that you go through from a racing season thing. With the amount of races that I see compared to the amount of races that you see. Because I think typically in a normal year, I think you're about double me.
That's gonna be a safe estimate.
Because I think you get to right around what, usually about 80 to 85 shows a year.
Yeah.
And I usually get to right around that 40 to 45 a year, depending on, how Mother Nature plays during the race season. So yeah, so we're about double.
Yeah, so I actually did the math. This last weekend of racing, when I was at Buffalo River on Sunday, was night number 72 of the year.
Wow. So you're getting up there. I know I did the math with mine a couple weeks ago and I had hit 30. So the shows that I had seen over Labor Day weekend and probably this weekend, I'm probably north of 35, almost to that 40 some range. So yeah, so I'm getting up there too.
So you're going to start throwing out shows now.
This is true. I have reached the national points cutoff.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm following like the Colton Brower and Trey Hess schedule it this year as the way it goes. But hey, I'm having fun. Kind of had this last weekend of sort of relaxed fun. This week is going to be pretty hectic, which we're going to get to discuss. And but it's one of the most fun and exciting weeks of the year for me. So, I want to thank all you watchers and listeners of the Track Packers podcast. Thank you for the support all year long and all summer long. Just one quick shout out this week. I want to give a shout out to Kathy Sauer. Now, I don't know if this is a relation to Travis Sauer or Ron Sauer. I did a little digging, but I'm not sure. But either way, thank you for checking us out on the Track Packers podcast. And thank you to our sponsor, Hitch Harness with Tyler Hall out of Fertile, Minnesota. Didn't do any racing this last weekend, but he is planning to do the Stock Car Stampede in Jamestown. So that'll be exciting to see Tyler over there. He hasn't been over to the Jamestown Speedway in quite some time. So Hitch Harness. John, would you like to talk a little bit about Hitch Harnesses and the services that they provide?
Yeah, no, Tyler does a great business with his hitchharness.com. Race fans, drivers, everybody out there, go check it out. It is a great website. It's very easy to navigate. You can check out all types of accessories for your truck, for your personal vehicle, also for your truck bed with a hitch. So again, you want to protect that hitch. That's one of his niche products. So be sure to check him out at hitchharness.com. Tyler does a great business there. A lot of styles, a lot of varieties. So check him out at hitchharness.com. I am also very excited to see Tyler over at Jamestown for the Stock Car Stampede. And Mason, I wonder if he's running just his mod or also going to run that backup stock car for Brody. So that'd be kind of interesting to see as well.
Would be very interesting. I should tell Lyle if I see Brody before then, I should just be like, just bring both cars over. I'm sure he'll race it or someone. He'll
You can
find someone.
you can find somebody to race it for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Tyler, for the support of the podcast, and excited to see you in a couple weeks. So no real official lineup. Usually we do a lineup change if there's three or more of us, but since it's just the two of us, you just get to deal with our bright shining faces.
And we're both
So
on the front row.
yes, I haven't seen the front row in quite some time. So literally the only way I can see the front row. So we'll get the episode started with the waving the green flag with who or what are we repping? John, who or what are you repping?
So this week is a huge week for WISSOTA Racing, right? We start with the WISSOTA 100. It had started with the MPH Invitational over at the Granite City Motor Park just this past weekend, and a great field of cars. They had 100 total cars over there in those three divisions, so some great racing action over there in Granite City. That was the official start of the WISSOTA 100 week over there in Granite. So now we are going to be hitting the Challenge Series tomorrow night. We're taping this on a Monday, so we're going to be hitting the Challenge Series on a Tuesday night with practice night as well for all classes. And the official start of the WISSOTA 100 will be happening on Wednesday. So it'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday here for your WISSOTA lay models, your WISSOTA modifieds, your WISSOTA super stocks, your WISSOTA street stocks, and your WISSOTA Midwest modifieds. So your five main WISSOTA divisions will be over there at the I-94 Speedway in Fergus Falls. Also the conclusion for the Challenge Series with your WISSOTA lay models. So that'll be a fun week. I am repping the 2024 WISSOTA 100 shirt. On the back are the names of the past champions of the WISSOTA 100, as well as the Western 100 back when WISSOTA, and they used to have two 100s over there in Cedar Lake, and as well over there at Brown County down in Aberdeen before it was consolidated into the Dakota State Fair Speedway. We also had a lot of tracks in between there too. Brainerd hosted a couple of them over at the North Central Speedway. Rice Lake, Wisconsin hosted a couple of events over there as well for the 100. And even Gillette hosted a 100 event over there for the western side of WISSOTA country back in the mid-2000s. But besides that, I-94 Speedway has been your host here since 2018, and I'm repping their shirt.
Excellent. Pretty simple for me as far as who or what I'm repping too, besides the hat, Lindsey Hansen, grabbing another feature win this past weekend at the Corn Cob Nationals. So congratulations, Lindsey, on the win there. This is the 2023 version of the WISSOTA 100 shirt. No names on the back of this one, just a couple like generic designs with the late model, mods, and stocks. So gearing up for that. John, do you remember the 2023 winners of the show?
Oh, look at you trying to quiz me. I should have quizzed you on the 2024 winners. But let's start. Street Stocks. Eric Riley in the 51 machine was your champion for the WISSOTA Street Stocks. Your WISSOTA Midwest Modifieds, it was Brennan Waite in the 28 machine. He was your champion in your WISSOTA Midwest Modifieds. Let's go to your WISSOTA Late Models. WISSOTA Late Models, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, your champion. Ooh, Mason, I don't know if I'm going to get this one right.
Mhm.
Let's skip the late models. Let's go to the Super Stocks. Super Stocks was the 25 of Dylan Nelson. Dylan Nelson picked up the win in your WISSOTA Super Stocks. And then in your WISSOTA Modifieds, by the way, I got the late model champion in my head now.
Yeah.
It was TPO. Tyler Peterson, who swept your Modifieds and your late model A main event back in 2023. Those were your 5 main champions in I-94.
Yep, I was gonna say if you get either one mod or late mods, it should be pretty easy to get the other one because I'm like, oh yeah, he did sweep that week. So
The only reason why I remember that, Mason, too, is because I was thinking out loud, I was like, that's right, that was a great battle between Tyler and Don Ishins was up there in that mix for a while in the 9 machine. And then there was a lot of other drivers out there that were throwing everything at Tyler. I believe Dave Kane was one of the main competitors that was throwing everything at Tyler during that modified race. And earlier in the night, he won the late models, and he won the late models pretty handily that night before.
yeah, I don't remember too much from the late model race because I think yeah, TPO kind of put a whooping on him.
I think he did. I think he put a pretty big whooping on him. He got to the front pretty early, and he was gone.
Yep. Yeah, so that was the 2023 winners. Your 2024 winners, so flashback, Colton Brower in WISSOTA Street Stocks, Blake Adams in the Midwest Modifieds after Lucas Rodin originally had crossed the line but had a tech infraction, so handed one to Blake Adams. Late models, Shane Zabrowski. Great battle with Mike Gresseth at the very end of that.
3 wide at the finish line.
That's right, with Ryan Michelson too. Ryan
Yep.
Michelson had a really good run in that
Michelson
race.
came from 18th, I think, to 3rd.
Yep,
Or 19th to 3rd, something like that.
something like that. Super Stocks, Dexton Cook. Believe that was, yep, Dexton Cook in the 78K. And then Modifieds, Dan Ebert.
Yes, great battle between Dan Ebert and Landon Atkinson
Yep.
in the modified A main. So pretty cool to see a lot of our local competition over here from North Dakota on the eastern side of the state. They're going to be heading over too. So it'll be kind of interesting and kind of exciting to see a lot of those drivers over there at I-94 this week. Knock on wood, right now, weather looks like it's mostly going to cooperate throughout the week as well. I do know there's a few nights that have a little bit of like shower / maybe a thunderstorm chance, but it's nothing out of the ordinary that we usually have for the week of the 100.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, well, we'll talk a little bit about kind of like weather kind of impacting a little bit of the last weekend, but this time of year is kind of uncertain with some of those stuff, but hopefully have a nice clean week at the WISSOTA 100. So that is what we are repping for this episode, and we'll move right into the hot sauce, hot memory rewind and give a shout out to Isaac Sondrol in the 12S IMCA Modified and the 104 IMCA Stock Car. Not much racing to be had around the state of North Dakota, so take the weekend off. Probably a well-deserved weekend off. Get to spend time with his family, his young boy Harrison. So great addition to the family this summer. It's been fun to see Isaac have some fun throughout the summer. And so if you see him throughout the last couple weekends of the season, be sure to stop down in his pits and say hi. Grab some of the great goodies in the Sondrol pit. And thank you, Isaac, for your support of the podcast. Well,
Mason,
John, oh, go ahead.
we hope he's caught up with Harvest so then he can come to the Stampede, because Isaac has looked pretty good in Jamestown so far this year, so I hope he can make it over with both cars. That'd be kind of fun to see him over there with Marcus Tomlinson as well.
Yes, and from the consensus I got from talking with people this last weekend, seems like things are a little bit like later on as far as like farming goes. So from what I heard, people are going to be doing some of more of these year events because I think it's going to be closer to that like October, mid-October frame before they get to like big time harvesting. So hopefully that means we'll see a lot of these drivers at these year-end specials. Alrighty, so we'll do 3. They may be pretty easy. I don't know, but we'll see how you do, John.
Yeah, I'm apologize to our listeners as well and our viewers here for the podcast. I'm remote, right, over here in DC, so I don't really have access to like share my screen. through my phone without
Right.
losing everything. So unfortunately, Mason's gonna have to do all of them here tonight. So the 85 machine. Oh, Mason, is this one? Is this Jamie Davis?
It is not Jamie Davis.
Is it Jeff Davis?
Nope, not Jeff Davis.
Hmm.
Well, this is
I
actually a
don't.
little trickier than I expected.
I don't know if I know this driver with this paint scheme.
Okay, well, let me zoom in a little bit, see if you can get a hint. Anything, any hints sticking out when you look at the car?
What's this? Sioux Falls. This is South. Oh, that's Jason Good
There
in
you
the 85.
go. There you go, Jason Good. I probably kind of tricked you with the Ogilvy Raceway logo.
You did. I was thinking, I was like, who's over there that runs there sometimes? I was like, the Davises do from over there, and they're north of the border.
Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah,
so
that's
that was
so I
that was
found I
Jason
found a kind
Good.
of like a cheater site. And so I think this is some of the year-end races with some of these cars. And so I'm like, oh yeah, Jason Good must have won over there. This is from, I believe, 2015.
Look at you finding a cheater site just like me.
Yep. Okay, can I? Okay, I got it. I'm
You
having
have
your
to.
difficulty. It won't let me
You're gonna have to
switch.
unshare. Yeah, you're gonna have to unshare and then reshare.
I was hoping to just go from one to the other, but that's okay. Now I gotta wait for it to load. There we go. Number two. Da-da-dee.
That is Billy Kendall.
Good job. I mean, a pretty similar scheme to some of his other ones. I would have probably been stumped had someone else done this. So,
I recognize the font style on the number. Billy had a
yep.
good weekend over at the Northern Nationals. He was up front quite a bit during both nights of those A main events. And Mason, he's one of our shakedown competitors for the Stampede. So he's going to be at the Stock Car Stampede in about 2 weeks.
Yep, that's gonna be fun to see him over in Jamestown. It's been a few years since he's been over there, last in a modified. And then here's the last one.
That would be, that's a Minot pitcher.
That is correct.
And that is a stock car?
Uh,
Or is that a hobby?
I think it's a hobby, but I could be wrong on that.
Okay, is that Kyle Schlope?
It is not. This
Trying to think.
driver doesn't race anymore, but he is a
Doesn't?
direct relative of someone who does race.
Okay. It's not Kelly Henderson, is it?
Nope. So,
Oh, is that Robbie Conway?
no, it is not. This person is the dad of a very, very prominent hobby stock driver up in Minot.
Oh, is it I know who it is now. It's one of the Saturns. But what's the dad's name? Is it Kyle Satrin?
Nope. Lawn.
Okay.
Lawn Satrin.
Okay. I don't know if I would have actually got that. I know Kyler's dad by seeing him,
Yep.
but I don't know if I'd ever call him by his first name.
That's like the one thing with a lot of people I see at the track, they'll say like, "Hey Mason," and like I know who they are, like, and even like name wise, I know who they are, but I never like respond and say their name. Like sometimes I will just be like, "Oh yeah, hey, remember your name," but like to be honest, there's like a lot of people I see at the track, and I'm like, I don't know their name.
Same. I'm kind of that same way. I'm like, hi, and then like 2 minutes later, I'm like, I think I know who they are, but I don't remember their name.
Yeah, it's like, ugh. Like this is one of those weeks too, especially with the 100 coming up, that it's gonna be like, oh boy, there's gonna be a lot of people that I recognize, and we'll see.
Yep.
All
Okay.
right, so that is who or what we're repping for this episode, and for the track back report, not too much to discuss, just a couple of races in our neck of the woods, and John and I were at one of them together, and then I was over at Buffalo River on Sunday. Seitz Memorial Weekend, typically a Thursday through Saturday affair. Unfortunately, Thursday got wiped out because of Mother Nature. rain, and it was very, very chilly. That was kind of one of my takeaways from the weekend was it was chilly.
It was a chilly weekend. It felt like a fall weekend. It felt like a fall classic type weekend with weather-wise.
Yeah, and especially coming off a summer where it's been like 80 and humid and going down to like lows of like mid 40s and it's like and windy too. It's like, oh gosh, I had my heated vest out all weekend, every single night that I was at the track.
And I was repping that Track Packers podcast beanie all weekend.
You were. I did not take a picture of myself on Sunday, but I also was wearing the beanie because the wind was brisk in the stands in Glendon.
It was brisk all weekend. And honestly, though, Sunday for us in Bismarck was really nice. We were like 74 degrees is what we got up to for a high on Sunday. Sunny skies, really no clouds all day, and it was just a gorgeous day. It was a good travel day back home.
Yeah, that's kind of what we got today. I mean, it was nice yesterday. It was probably in the mid 60s over here. Just hadn't gotten quite the warmth from out west quite yet. And so, but yeah, Seitz Memorial Weekend. John and I usually make this kind of a traditional stop when I'm not at weddings.
And I didn't have to take a picture on the grandstands with, oh look, here's Mason's spot with no Mason.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good old time missing out on that year. But they had four classes this year for the 19th annual John Seitz Memorial with sort of street stocks, with sort of Midwest mods, with sort of modifieds, and of course your WISSOTA late models being featured throughout the weekend. And pretty good car counts in all the divisions. We had 22 street stocks. We had 50, as it loads here, 59 WISSOTA late models, I believe,
Yeah, that is correct, Mason. We had 57 with Soda Midwest modifieds,
and
and we had
37 mods.
37 with Soda modifieds on night one, 35 with Soda modifieds on night two. So, yeah. So, like Mason said, Thursday was canceled due to weather. So, on Friday, the Prelude ended up being canceled. So, the championship of the NLRA was determined based on that rainout, right? Dustin Strand was your champion. He was leading not a sizable margin, but a pretty good margin going into Friday. I mean, into Thursday night. They did not make up that show. So then they moved into the actual 19th annual John Seitz Memorial. On Friday night, it was heat races for your WISSOTA Midwest Modifieds, your WISSOTA Street Stocks, your WISSOTA lay models. Lay models also ran their go hard or go home pole dash. The WISSOTA Modifieds had the Delaney Memorial. So they ran a complete show with heats. They ran a concees and they ran the feature. And they also ran 35 laps. So basically, let's just go through a couple of highlights here. So WISSOTA late model heat races, really good late model heat races. A lot of moving and shaking in the WISSOTA late model heat races. So that was pretty cool to see. In your pole dash, it was kind of Mike Gresseth who kind of snickered the field a little bit because you had Cole Schill and you had Chad Becker who were putting on a hard battle up front. Caution came out in the middle of that race. And on the restart, Gresseth got to the high side and he flew by everybody and picked up the win in the pole dash. In your modified event, it's kind of a race of attrition a little bit. They had quite a bit of cautions. They had several cars drop out. There was a lot of moving and shaking. Mike Stern started up front in that race and was kind of dominated a little bit at the start of that race. But as the track changed, there was a lot of moving and shaking. And you had Joey Thomas, who has had a great season here in 2025. And he took over the lead, kind of led for a while. And then Bryce Sword kind of put his name into the mix up there. And with 2 to go, Bryce was kind of making a challenge a little bit at Joey. And then with 1 to go, Joey's car just kind of quit a little bit. And Bryce got around him, and Bryce picked up the win. At that same time, Brock Grunwald, who was running top 5, also pulled into the infield and just in like was a DNF. Well, turns out that race with Mason, I don't remember how long that race was, like long, like time-wise.
I think it was 31 minutes.
But the drivers ran out of fuel. So Joey ran out of fuel on the white flag lap, and so did Brock. So several of the drivers ran out of fuel. That's why they would pull in throughout that feature event. But it was Bryce Ward who picked up a very nice win for the Delaney Memorial race. And that concluded night 1. So that was night 1 of the Seitz Memorial.
Yeah, that was a wild race. Yeah, like you said, a lot of moving and shaking, a lot of attrition, and yeah, just like because Joey pretty much had that race in the bag through the last few laps, and then all of a sudden, just like there goes Bryce Sword around him, and it's like tough break for Joey Thomas because he looked really good, and he's really good up at the Seitz Memorial too. So tough break for him on the Rick Delaney Memorial. But Bryce Sword has also been really good at River Cities. That's not his first win this year up at that track, and so he's got a good feel for River Cities. So congratulations to Bryce Sword in the 6X. So then we move on to Saturday, night two of the John Seitz Memorial. So consies for your other divisions. No consi in the street stocks, but Midwest mods. Full show for your WISSOTA modifieds. And then you had WISSOTA late models, their B mains, and then the last chance qualifier for the 92 lap, 9200 to win race. So once we got through all the consies, we went into feature race action with the street stocks kicking things off. This is a good good race, almost race of the night, I would say. Between this and the late models, like this, they put on a great show with Soda Street Stocks. So here's your front row, Trey Hess and Cole Gresseth. It's like, oh boy, well, these two are going to be pretty tough to pass. And early on, it was Cole Gresseth leading the way. Trey Hess was kind of like within like a car length or two. And then you have drivers such as Parker Anderson, who came over for the Seitz Memorial all the way from Wisconsin. Justin Vogel coming from mid-pack. And all of a sudden, it was a 3-4 car battle for the lead after a couple of restarts. And then it turned into a slide job fest between Parker and Justin. And it was a great show, John.
It was. It was a really good race. They were three wide up front for numerous laps. But yeah, that slide job battle between Parker and Justin was impressive to watch because they drove hard. I mean, it was like hard racing between those two drivers, with Parker coming away with the win and Justin Vogel in second. Trey Hess was in third. Was Levi Rant in fourth or was okay? And then Cole Gresseth in the top five.
Yep, and Levi Rand started 22nd on the field, dead last after he had some trouble in his heat race on Friday night. So
I think he blew a tire in his heat race. If I'm not mistaken. I think he was smoking quite a bit and blew a tire.
Yeah,
in his heat race on Friday night. So that's where he started tail end and got his way back up to the top four. So yeah, so really good run. Tough break for Hunter Carter, who's a past Seitz Memorial champion. He blew a tire with some contact. I believe it was with him and Parker on the back straightaway. And he got a flat tire out of that deal and pulled in with only a couple laps into that feature event, but he would have been pretty strong too starting up there in the second row. So, but no, really good kickoff of the night for features. And then Mason, then we went to late models.
Yeah, I was going to say, they changed up the order compared to previous years. So they ran the late models second and then put the mods and Midwest mods after the late models. So 92 laps, 9,200 to win. Of course, Mike Gresseth, as we mentioned, on the pole after winning the pole dash on Friday night. And the track all weekend was pretty good. There was a little bit of character in a couple of turns. Mainly turn 1 and 2 had a decent sized little hole to kind of navigate around. And that the race is always fascinating to watch to see how much the track really does change throughout 92 laps because of course there's a fuel stop at lap 32 around lap 30 kind of when the cautions kind of fall. So it's like the first few laps you kind of like are pretty hammered down. You're just kind of making sure your car's in one piece and you're getting to the second half of the race. Well, of course the track wasn't really slowing down much once they got to the fuel stop. And then once the fuel stop happened, honestly, the track changed, but probably not as much as we were expecting. What were you thinking about that?
Yeah, it kind of kept moisture in it, but I think it's because it was so cool outside and just the amount of kind of rain that they had built into the track already with the amount of moisture they put into it just with normal track prep, but also just with the rain. And it was kind of like a soaking rain on Thursday to where it wasn't really a heavy downpour when I was up there at all Thursday night, but it was more that constant, like just kind of not even a drizzle, but just kind of a constant like sprinkle. And I was like, okay, this is going to keep the track pretty wet and keep the grounds pretty wet. But no, I agree with you, Mason. But boy, what a battle in that race. I mean, you had several drivers that were coming to the front. You had kind of a constant presence in the front was Cole Schill. Cole looked really good all weekend. I mean, from his heat race to anything else, he was on the move all weekend. And congratulations to Cole for actually picking up the win in that feature event because he had to pass the likes of AJ Demo, who has run that race multiple times. And Demo actually had a tire going down. So he had a right rear that was going flat. He posted that on Facebook on Sunday. So unfortunately for Demo, as him and Cole were going to put on a show, and Cole got around him, but you could just tell something was just not right with 58, and he pulled in the infield about 5 laps after that. But then it set up a battle between Tyler Peterson and Cole Schill, and they threw everything at each other during that race. And unfortunately, they did have contact with about 3 laps to go. completely racing incident
Yeah.
in my view. I mean, complete racing incident between those two, and unfortunately, Tyler got into the back of Cole down the front straightaway. Cole was using the whole entire track as well, which he should have been, especially for 92 laps and $9,200 to win. They were down to the last couple of laps. Their contact was made going into turns 1 and 2. Cole spun off the top of turns 1 and 2. Tyler went to the pits after that incident, after going, basically parked with the caution. So unfortunate for Tyler, but that also opened the door for drivers that were moving through the field, like Dustin Strand, who started really deep in that feature event.
Yep.
And had moved his way into the battle for the top 3. He restarted second, lost that position actually on the restart, and then was battling back on the high side and hit the berm in turns 1 and 2. There was a pretty good berm up there all weekend, and it went over the berm and was a DNF, but still was was moving throughout that feature event. It does not show his result based on the finish. However, Jesse Glenn's moved from 19th to 2nd.
He came out of nowhere at the end.
He came out of nowhere. He was actually at one point almost a lap down.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to see that he came back up to 2nd. So congratulations to Jesse. And then you had the Millennium Farmer of Zach Johnson, who made his return back to late model racing this year, into 3rd. So congratulations to Zach on a top 3. One hard luck award of the weekend. I'm going to give it to Mike Gresseth. Although he had a very good Friday night with winning his heat and his dash, Mike finished top 5 and then drove to the trailer and forgot to scale and forgot to go to tech. So yeah. Mike was DQ'd. So, I mean, in his interview during intermission, the fuel stop, I mean, he did say that he was getting old. So, but no, it's just a joke out there too. But Mike's like, yeah, I'm getting too old for this. And then as soon as I saw the DQ and found out the reason for the DQ, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So, but no, tough break for Mike. He had a really good weekend overall, and that DQ does not show how well he actually ran throughout the whole entire weekend.
Right. Yeah. There is that race is so fascinating to watch from start to finish because like Chad Becker, he was an early leader. Cole had to really fight and battle with him early on, and yeah, very hard win for Cole show, and that's really cool to see because. It's been a while since we've had probably one of the regulars up in the Grand Forks area. I mean, like Shane Edgerton, kind of a regular that you see down at River Cities. But, you have guys like AJ Demo that are pretty dominant around the Seitz Memorial time. Cole Searing, last year's winner, also very competitive as well. But to see one of like the NRA kind of local guys, kind of one of those that raced around John Seitz and all that, very cool to see him end up in victory lane.
Did you also see, Mason, that the Red River Valley history page, right? They posted on there that they did a little bit of statistics. So Cole Schill joins a group of 3 other drivers who have won the kind of 2 marquee invitational races for late models in the state of North Dakota, which is your Seitz Memorial as well as your Stock Car Stampede, just because of the history of the Stock Car Stampede. And Cole now joins Mitch Johnson in that list, Don Shaw in that list, and Ricky Weiss in that list for being the drivers that have won both the Seitz Memorial and the Stock Car Stampede.
It's a pretty good list to be a part of.
No doubt.
Yeah. So excellent race in WISSOTA late models, and that wasn't even the end of the racing for the night.
No. Then we went to your mods. So
Mm-hmm.
your modified feature event was up next, and it was a very interesting race because up front, it was Joey Thomas who was kind of setting the pace again because Joey looked really good in his heat race. And he got in an unfortunate, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And that was where there was a couple of cars in front of him that he was getting ready to lap that got together. And Joey had nowhere to go, and he jumped a tire, got into the front straightaway guardrail, and tore up some stuff on the front end and had to pull in under caution. So that opened up the door for the drivers of like TPO, Tyler Peterson, who was looking for redemption after the late model race, and Tyler got to lead and he was kind of gone.
Yeah.
But then it was interesting, Mason, because then we had drivers that were second and third that all of a sudden were just kind of out of the race too. So we were kind of following that member. So Mike Stearns was running 3rd.
Yeah.
And it looks like something happened with maybe tranny related to him, is what I heard. So he pulled into the pits. He fell off the back straightaway and pulled into the pits. And then a few laps later, Bryce Ward, also, who was running 2nd, pulled into the pits.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's like we're watching like the race unfold, and I'm panning back to Tyler Peterson, then panning back to second. I'm like, wait, where's second at? And it's like the gap just became bigger and bigger, and by the end, I think it was 7 seconds.
7.3 seconds, and I believe it was Tyler Peterson, and I believe was it Blake Adams that finished second in that race. So Blake
Yes,
was second place in the 40D in his rookie
yes,
year of the modifieds, which he's also in a heated battle there for the national points as well within your modifieds.
yes, he is actually. We should almost talk about that too heading into this week because it's gotten really tight for a lot of those point battles. But yeah,
And then
Tyler
Midwest
Pearson.
modifieds ended the night. And that honestly, Mason, was really good race too. That was a really good race up front.
Yeah.
So there was some carnage in that race, unfortunately, with Phil Chrislip had a very damaged car after an incident pretty early in that race, which tough break for Phil in that 3B machine. But besides that, it was a very interesting race to watch up front because you kind of had the who's who a little bit in your WISSOTA Midwest Modifieds there with Dawson Zabel, Jory Berg, Reese Stenberg, Matt Scow, as well as Jake Smith in the 21 machine. And a lot of those drivers up front, they were slicing and dicing for that win in your Midwest Modified A main event.
Yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned this name too, but Landon Rand was also up there in the mix.
Yes, I miss Landon. Landon Ranton led for a lot of that race.
Yes, and it was a 2 and 3 wide battle, especially the throughout the last 8 to 10 laps, and then we had a restart, I think, with like three or
Like three
four
to go.
laps
I
to
think it
go.
was three to go.
Yep, and Jake Smith absolutely sent it in on the high side to try to get around both Reese and Landon and made it stick, and he checked out those last couple of laps.
Yep.
And
So Jake won.
yep, and he's got a knack for winning these big races, and I think that's one of his first times over at River Cities.
I think it was. I think it might have been. I don't know if it was his first ever time, but I know he hasn't been there very much. So his
Yeah.
dad used to race River Cities back in the day as well, within the modified slash Minnesota Midwest modified days. But yeah, nice to see Jake over there and past national champion picked up the win. But like you said, Mason, he's picked up some big races this year. He was
Yeah, he
second,
definitely has.
second over at what was it, the Gurkey race over at I-94.
Yes, he was second there, and then he just won. Oh gosh, what big
Carpenter
race?
Memorial over in Jamestown. That was 2000 and what was it, $2,337 to win,
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah.
and then now
So
the Seitz Memorial as well.
yeah, so I don't know what his plans are for the rest of the year, but if he shows up to the track, I would kind of put a bet on him that he's going to be contending for the win. So
But it was a great way to cap off the weekend over at River Cities. Great job to the track prep crew for getting that racing surface into racing form that was very racy throughout the weekend, considering all the rain they had on Thursday, and then 175 cars total were in attendance throughout the weekend over there in River Cities in those four divisions.
yes, very good car count for the four divisions, and yeah, I'm already looking forward to next year at the Seitz Memorial because it's going to be the 20th annual, so you know they're going to have some special things in store. Actually, we got a preview of some special stuff for next year.
We did. So the WISSOTA late model payout is getting bumped up, right? Because they want to make sure that it's really special. They did announce the first three positions in the future event. Now, right now, everything from down from there, it sounds like will be normal. However, I would be surprised if there's a lot of updates on that before we hit 2026. But here's right now the way it's going to look. So it is 92.92 to win. So it's $9,292 to win. Second place is $9,200. And third place is also $9,200. So what a payout for your top three spots in the WISSOTA late models.
Yeah, so not only are people going to be battling hard for the win and the prestige of that, but now they're going to really be trying to get one of those top three podium spots.
Yes. And a really good payout. And we'll see. I mean, unfortunately, weather played a little bit of havoc this weekend. Car count was still great at 59 late models. 62 was the record from last year. But it would have been very interesting, Mason, I think, if we didn't have weather involved, because I think we would have had a few more late model drivers potentially and probably would have broke that record.
I think so too. Yeah, 59 is still a really, really good number though.
Mhm.
So that finished off the Seitz Memorial weekend. I got one more race in on the weekend. It was the Corn Cob Nationals, and they had quite a few cars there. They had minus their trophy class where they did a Power Puff race and two mechanics races. They had 133 total cars in their divisions. So pretty
Wow.
good, pretty good turnout for the Corn Cob Nationals throughout the weekend. And so I'll just quickly go through the results as I mainly caught the feature action. Kate Taves took the Lightning sprint race. Believe she clean swept the weekend, if I remember correctly, too. So pretty good weekend for the 72 machine of Kate Taves. They had 32 legends. That's a lot of legends. And a lot of drivers from like the western part of this stage mixed with the eastern folks. So it was a nice mix of drivers kind of battling for the win. You had the Madlers, you had Preston Martin, Ty Wilkie, Cody Mackart, Ryan Broseth, and I mean the list goes on and on. And it was the Madlers. Gage in the 700 picking up the win in front of his brother Noah. So great job to the Madler brothers for cleaning out first and second on Sunday night. Then it was your IMC Sport Mods, and the winner there was Justin Jones. He had a hard-fought battle with the Jacobsons, Kelly, and Scott. There was a little bit of contact in that too, so definitely no shortage of excitement in that race. And he also swept the weekend, so congratulations to Ada Justin Jones. Then it was your Gen X late models, and it was Parker Gilbertson getting the win. He had to hold off several challenges from Ben Wolden and Trevor Walsh and the rest of the field, and really good way to kind of close in on his first rookie season of the Gen X late models. He's got a couple feature wins now, and he's really looking good in that 23 junior machine. Then it was your IMC Race Saver Sprint Cars, and it was Hollywood Ty Wilkie. He pretty much had the fastest car. I mean, the track was kind of one lane, but he could make passes like at any point of the track. He was like, it didn't matter what logjam was in front of him. He made his way around him, so he got the feature win there in the Race Saver Sprints. Modifieds mentioned it during the Who or What We Were Repping segment. Lindsey Hansen got in front of John Norden and held him off to get another big win on the season. I believe that is number 5.
Yeah, it's either 4 or 5.
He's got 2 in Jamestown, 1 in Fargo, and so 4.
Yep, and one in now in Glendon. Yep.
Yep. So win number 4 of the season for Lindsey Hansen. So congratulations to the 32T. Then it was your IMC Hobby Stocks. And my mind is blanking as I cannot remember who exactly won that race. Oh, yes. It was the 01 of Nathan Cole out the way from Fort Ripley, kind of near the Brainerd area. So, like, this race is cool because you get a lot of the Brainerd area cars, and Nathan's one of those that comes over, and he pretty much had that one on lockdown as well. And then in your short trackers, it was Hunter Goulet in the 701 taking the win in front of Tyson and Travis Roush. And so those were the Corn Cob Nationals on Sunday in Linden. And the other race that was taking place that we were kind of keeping track of, it was the Supernationals taking place down at Boone Speedway. And John, they had a lot of cars there.
Yeah, so I looked at some of the numbers from Ryan Clark because Ryan had posted some numbers on there. It looked like modifieds were over 240 total entries. I think they had 243 to be exact. Stock cars were 280 total entries in your stock cars. In your hobby stocks and sport mods, hobby stocks were 180. I believe that's a new record. Sport mods were 192. Also believe that's a brand new record. And then as you continued on your classes, the sport compacts, they tied, I believe, their record at 95 that they've had. I believe the mod lights had 87, if I'm not mistaken.
So, yeah.
Late models were like at 39 or 38, but total wise, they had 1,126 cars competing during the week. That is a new record for Supernationals.
That's a lot of driver cards to collect.
That is a ton of cars and a ton of races. Mason and I were talking earlier. Mason probably wouldn't even watch the first half of the night because he would have been down there collecting driver cards from everybody in the pits.
True story. That is literally what I would do.
Yes, I would be sitting in the grandstands enjoying myself, and Mason would be also enjoying himself by going through the pits and driving and grabbing driver cards. But Mason, let's start with the big dances. We'll go through the final night on Saturday for the 4 divisions that were in action, and I will start us with the hobby stock division. And what a race up front! Dylan Nelson ended up being your big dance winner in the 13 machine as he beat Ludenberg. As right there, they threw a slider in turns 3 and 4, and it was Dylan Nelson that picked up the win with the big dance in the 13 machine. Looked really good on his qualifying night, so I was not surprised at all that he was right there in the mix of it on Saturday night.
Yeah, really good finish in your hobby stocks, and yeah, really, really good race to the finish there. That was a great way to kick off the big dances. Then we move on to the IMSA Sport mods, and this driver has been pretty fast. He's really fast down in Iowa, so it wasn't really a shock to see him pick up the win. Jake Sakow, hope I'm pronouncing that last name correctly. He got the feature win in front of Mike Smith in 22X, who is, I believe, a rookie in the
He's a
sport
rookie. Yep.
mods.
Yep. He's a rookie.
Very good, prominent hobby stock racer the last few years, finished in second. And Cole Suckow, who we've seen, or is it Suckow or Suko? I've heard both.
I've heard both too. It's kind of like Andrew Yoakum and Jokum. I've heard both on there too. So I believe either way it's fine probably until we talk to Cole.
Yep, he was third. So we've seen him over at the Stampede. Maybe he'll make an appearance back up there.
You might. You never know.
You can see
So yeah.
he's actually almost due for a win up there in the sport mods because he's been fast every time he's showed up there.
So well, he is a defending champion, and not a defending champion, but a past champion in the sport mods.
Oh, I
He
guess I
is
don't.
in 2023, but it was because Justin Jones crossed the line first, but had a part infraction.
That's
I
right.
believe that was the
Okay.
rev box on his, and then yeah, so Cole was the declared the champion.
Okay, that would be why I don't remember it.
But in short, within that race, yeah, Jake looked really good. By the way, I do think he has the my favorite paint scheme from Supernationals. I think is on that 14 machine.
He's got some really nice looking cars. I do agree with that.
It's very bright, and you can definitely notice the number.
Oh yeah, that is very true. Stock cars, John.
Yeah, stock car race was kind of interesting up front because you had a driver that it took him until the final night to punch his ticket into the big dance, and that was Jake McBurdy. And Jake is always tough. He's a Boone native, and he's very tough in the stock cars and in the mods. And he finally picked up the big dance win in the stock cars this year in the 82 machine. It was numbered the 82-2 machine, so 822. But that's just because of all the numbers that they have down there in Boone. He wanted to make it differentiated. However, some tough luck for some drivers in there because you had a couple of drivers that were running second and third in that race that both had problems in the matter of a lap
Yeah,
between each other. So I believe it was Doug Elliott in the 12
Smith.
machine. Doug Smith. Okay, sorry. Doug
Yep.
Smith in the 12 machine that had some problems and ended up on the back straightaway in going into the pit area. So he pulled it in. And at the same time, Dallin Murdy blew up in his 99X machine because he looked really good all weekend, especially after picking up that big win, the 100K win that he picked up just the week before that, before Supernationals. And tough break for those drivers as it was Mick Birdie who picked up a huge win in your stock cars.
he's very, very good in the stock car too. Every time I see
Really
him on
good.
the entry list, like in a stock car, he's usually winning. So,
He is. He's really good in the stock car.
yep. And then, of course, your modifieds close things out with their big dance. And then we know a lot of these drivers that kind of made the big show. I mean, Tim Ward is one that we definitely know from the Dakota Classic Modified Tour. Tom Berry Jr., also another one that was really making his presence known. But it was Tim Ward picking up the feature win in the 4TW. And not really a big surprise there. Trying to look at specific results. Dakota Sproul, another name we've seen on the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, had a really good weekend. He punched his ticket, I believe, on the first day of preliminary action, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe maybe it was second day.
Second day?
Yeah, but he
Either
punched his
way.
ticket early in the week.
Yep, he finished in second. Dallin Murdy coming off the tough luck in the stock car finished in third. Tom Berry fourth, and Jeremy Mills in fifth. Now, and kind of shout out to a few drivers here. One in the modifieds, Colin Hibden, got involved in a really bad wreck a couple of days earlier with Tanner Black, who rolled over.
Yeah, Tanner had a severe concussion. Luckily, he's doing okay.
Yeah.
And in Colin's car, I thought Colin might be done for the week with his car, but they got to put back
Same.
together. And yeah, he came through the field in his qualifying event on, I believe, what was it? Was it Friday night? Yes,
Yep.
Friday night in his qualifying A main event. They took the top four from the mods, and I believe Colin started, was it like 23rd or 24th, and worked his way to fifth
Yep.
that night and missed it by one. And then he won the All-Star race.
hmm
So that was pretty cool to see that Colin won that. And then I believe in the A main itself, where did Colin start at, Mason? Did he start like
21st.
21st and finished 8th?
Yep.
So yeah, so he really had a good week down at Supernationals.
Yep, and we had three drivers kind of from our area that made their respective A mains. So we had Jane Pavlicek in the 74, made the sport mods. Johnny Carter in the 46 made the stock cars. And then Travis the Dark Horse Hagen in the 14T made the modifieds. They all finished in the same spot in their respective features of 23rd. But to make the field is like such a great accomplishment in itself that honestly, who cares where they finish? They made the big dance.
And honestly, with Johnny Carter in general, right? Johnny punched his ticket on night one. That would have been his Wednesday night qualifying night. He worked his way. I believe he started that A main event in 14th and got third, I
Third,
believe,
yep.
the first night. So he did very well there. And then he was running seventh with two to go when a tire went down on that 46 machine and had to pull into the infield and got credited with 23rd. So Johnny was top 10 as well within that stock car, which he was on the podium the year before. So he still had a great run down at Boone again this week.
Yep. So definitely a great showing by a lot of our local drivers. I tried to do my best to post it on Dakota Dirt on how people were doing leading up to the big dance. And so if you want specifics on who all went down there, it's on the Dakota Dirt Facebook page. And shout out to our photographers down there, Byron Fichter and Tyler Hagen. Great photos all week. Definitely check out their sites because they got a lot of great pictures from the week down in Super Nationals. And so one of these years, we'll get down to that show.
This is true. And one of those years we will definitely get down there, Mason and I will, because I will be in the grandstands watching, and Mason will be collecting all of his hero cards. He's going to need like a tote for how many hero cards he's going to get that week.
Well, I've been going through some of my hero cards this week, and some of the totes I have are pretty big. I guarantee you, after a week at Super Nationals, I would need at least one or two of these things.
Yes, yes, you would. You would need a brand new tote.
Yes. So that wraps up the Track Packer report for this week. And while we don't have Mr. Dakota Dirt here with us, we can still give him a shout out.
Yes. So Dakota Dirt, again, race fans, you have to check it out. It is on the dakotadirt.org site. Schedules are out there for the year-end schedules for the invitational season, as well as results, weather forecasts, and other stuff on there. And then they also have the social media platform that Mason's been running here the last couple of weeks. And check them out at dakotadirt.org and Dakota Dirt on Facebook.
Yes, indeed. And so, in specifics to North Dakota, we have a few events taking place, mainly on Friday, Saturday, and I believe Sunday. We might also have a race. So, Friday, let's look at Friday. So, we have the season finale up at the River City Speedway. It is an all sprint car show. So, we have the NOSA 410 sprint cars, IMCA Race Saver 305 sprint cars, the Western Renegade Wingless sprints, and Lightning sprints. So, sprint car enthusiasts, this is your night to finish out the year up at the River City Speedway.
Mason, I believe they're also running the Friday after. They do have a show on the 19th as well. But I
Oh,
believe
that's
this is
right.
like I think this might be the ending of the points night though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's the end of the points because I know I was talking to a couple of the Race Saver sprint guys and they were kind of stressing out over points between last night in Glidden and then Friday in River Cities. So, yeah, points wise, things are finished out up at River Cities, but they do have one more. Thank you for reminding me of that.
And that is also a sprint car night, I believe, on the 19th of September with I believe the WISSOTA modifieds are up there that night as well.
Yes, we will check on that here in just a second. Now, Saturday the 13th, I gotta double check this. It looks like we have the Thunder Mountain Speedway is racing. So they have their Enduro class, IMC Northern Sport Mods, IMC Sport Compacts, Hobby Stocks, and their Junior Slingshots. So they will be racing on Saturday, as well as the Williston Basin Speedway, the first of two nights for their fall roundup. Their regular classes will be in attendance, which are your IMCA Hobby Stocks, Modified Sport Mods stock cars, and Junior Slingshots. Let's see, making sure. I believe Devil's Lake is also racing.
I think Devil's Lake is done, Mason.
Oh, yep, it just says dropped on my race pass. So,
Yep, because I believe they did their Pure Stock Nationals during the Labor Day weekend.
okay, yep, that is correct. Yep, they just dropped that. So, and then Sunday, the 14th in Williston, same thing as night one of fall roundup with the same classes. So, that is what your weekend in North Dakota looks like. Now we've talked at length about what's coming up outside the state of North Dakota with the WISSOTA 100, starting off Tuesday the 9th, recording this on the 8th, practice night, and then the WISSOTA Late Model Challenge Series. And I believe they're doing the Challenge Series both Tuesday and Wednesday. I think it's 2 shows.
I think it's a doubleheader to end the season. Yep.
Yep. And then Wednesday begins the preliminary qualifying action for the other 4 divisions with WISSOTA Street Stocks, Midwest Mods, Modifieds, and Super Stocks. And that goes through Saturday, the 13th. So busy week over at Fergus Falls. The legendary 100 is taking place over at Cedar Lake Speedway starting on Thursday, the 11th, which is also happy early birthday to Riley Ray Pelkey.
It's true. And also our hearts, our thoughts and prayers and our hearts go out to all the family members and everybody that was affected by those terrible events from 24 years ago already on Thursday, back on 9/11 of 2001. So again, with the terrorist attacks, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody out there. We'll never forget on anything that happened from that event. I still remember what I was doing that day when the World Trade Centers were struck and the news was turned on, and it was definitely a terrible ordeal that our country went through, but it made us stronger.
24 years ago. That's crazy. And it's yeah, I remember like it was not that long ago. It was
Agreed.
crazy.
Okay, so Mason, let's do our picks for the WISSOTA 100, and let's do picks for each class.
Okay.
And also our dark horse pick.
All righty. Ooh.
Okay. I will start us off.
Okay.
Your WISSOTA Street Stocks. My WISSOTA 100 pick to win that event is Kyle Dykhoff.
I figured you'd pick him. And for the sake of being different, I will pick Jim Gullickson.
That was the other guy that was in my head.
Because he is really, really good, especially as of late in that 21 car. And I think they're going to be putting on a show at the front of the field.
My dark horse pick in this field for the WISSOTA Street Stocks is going to be, I am actually going to go with Justin Vogel because the Wolverine has looked really good here the last couple of events I've been watching him at.
Dark horse pick for me probably would be Levi Rant.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Levi Rant can pull off a win at any point, so I think he's going to have a say in this.
I think Cole Gressive is going to be tough. I think Trey Hess is going to be tough, like your national points contenders. Colton Brower, he's been kind of laying low the last couple of weeks a little bit. I think he's been having actually a little bit of car problems, but I know defending champion, he's definitely going to be tough because if he's got the car up to snuff and it's running right, he's going to be one to beat.
Yep. And Eric Riley, the track champion over there.
That's another one.
Yep. I'll throw in one more person to consider, Nick Trainer.
Yes, because Nick will for sure be there in that 40 machine. He's going to be tough. He's tough at I-94.
All righty. So then we'll do Midwest Modifieds. This is
good to go first.
This is a really, really tough division to pick. I'm actually going to go with the guy that's been pretty hot over at I-94, and I'll go with Landon Rant.
Okay, that's a good pick with your WISSOTA Midwest Modifieds. My pick for the WISSOTA Midwest Modifieds is a driver that is pretty tough in Fergus. And also had a really good run through the field on Saturday night after causing a caution on his own. That is Matt Scow. I'm going with Scow because I think Matt is going to be really tough to beat over there during the 100.
That is also another great pick. Dark horses. So Midwest mods are really tough because there's usually they usually carry the most cars at the 100, so there's 80 to 90 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm honestly curious I know there's a few drivers coming over from the western part of WISSOTA. They're gonna have their name in the mix as well. I think I'm gonna stick close to home though and say Brennan Waite for a dark horse.
Ooh, see, now this is gonna be kind of funny. You're going Brennan Waite for dark horse. A driver that I'm going dark horse with has probably not had the season that he considers to be up to snuff. It's Rodin. Lucas Rodin is going to be my dark horse pick because Lucas is usually really good at the 100, but he hasn't been the normal Lucas Rodin that we're used to seeing during the regular season. Hasn't really racked with the wins that he usually racks up. And an interesting fact of this is that Lucas is four-time and defending champion of the Stock Horse Champion in Jamestown. He has yet to win in Jamestown this year. So that is a little bit odd too for Lucas with not visiting Victory Lane in Jamestown.
Yeah, that is really odd. He has like turned up the wick a little bit. You can definitely tell the last few weeks, even before like special and invitational season started, that he started to kind of get closer and closer to the front and more consistently at the front. I'm curious between, we'll kind of maybe talk about this a little bit on like the national points contenders on how they fare, such as like Tyler Vernon and Joey Jensen. They've been going back and forth. I'm curious to see how they'll do over at Fergus Falls.
Yeah, because unfortunately both drivers had like engine problems last year at the 100, so they were both plagued a little bit. And then David Simpson, who was your defending national champion in the 70 machine Midwest Modified, he also had a lot of problems over at the 100 last year too. So be interesting to see how those drivers fare over there this year.
Yep. I'll throw two more names in the mix. Of course, last year's winner, Blake Adams.
Yep.
And then I believe this driver is making his way over from Western WISSOTA, Mario Berger in the 73.
Yes, he'll be over there too. And I wonder if the Leichners are coming because usually if Tony comes over, you have to watch out for him too.
Yes. So you have it for Midwest mods. Late models, since they're usually third on the line.
They're going to be third. Yep, they'll be third in the program. My pick for the late models, I'm going to go Ryan Michelson.
Solid pick. Late models has been interesting as of late because there's not really been a dominant driver.
There isn't.
Not as far as I've seen over the last several weeks. It's been a lot of like, oh, this person won that. That's kind of a surprise. TPO is probably like the easy go-to. I'd probably lean towards him. He'll be really motivated, especially after this last weekend in the late model.
I would 100% agree. My dark horse pick for the late models, I'm going with Zach Johnson.
He looked really good this last weekend over the sites.
Yep, and he's pretty decent usually over at the 100, so he's going to be a good dark horse.
Yep. I would honestly say Cole Schill.
That's a good dark horse too. I mean, he's riding the wave of momentum after having a great run over at the sites.
Yep. Now, Chad Becker's also a name. He's not as familiar with I-94, but he has had some success on some of the preliminary nights. So if he can put a good prelim night together, get a good starting spot, I think he'd have something to say too.
And there was a couple years back that he swept the weekend over at 994 in the 100. Yeah, he swept his qualifying night and then he swept the final night. So
Okay.
Chad's a good name to go on there too. Cole Sarian, I think, is another one that you have to watch out for. He's always tough over there. And then we really can't forget about some drivers that are going to be over there for the Challenge Series, like Dave Moss, your defending champion Shane Skabrowski. And then also, if the 28 machine of Sam Mars comes over, he's going to be tough to beat too.
There's always usually one like Wisconsinite that comes over and it's just like, oh boy, this will be an interesting mix.
Yep. So that's who kind of what we're thinking of, I think, for late models.
Yep.
Next up, Super Stocks.
Super stocks. This is also another one. Now, this driver is also like the easy pick because he wasn't looking great at the beginning of the year, but he's really looked good as of late. That's Dexton Cook, and I saw it firsthand at Rice Lake. He's going to be tough to beat.
And the other driver is going towards his 1,000 win in a dirt race car, which is Shane Skabrowski, and you can never go against really Shane when it comes to the super stock division at the 100.
Now, I'm curious if a guy like Kurt Myers is going to show up. He's in that type points battle up in the national points as well, and I'm not sure if he's coming over for the 100, but that's also another driver that's going to be fun to watch.
Was it last year that he had that terrible rollover on the front straightaway in the 100, or was that 2 years ago?
I think that was 2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, that was 2 years ago because last year I think he had engine problems or he had some kind of car problems and wasn't able to make the last chance.
Right.
Dark horse. My dark horse pick is Dennis Zek.
That's a good dark horse pick. If he shows up on time.
This is true. And I mean, if he's able to get in his car and race on time too.
Yeah.
I really hope his wife keeps him in check all week.
Yep. An interesting dark horse, considering he's going for national points in the Midwest Modifieds, would be Joey Jensen in the 21.
That is true. He's looked pretty good in the super stocks. I mean, look at his weekend at the Northern Nationals this past weekend.
Yep, looks very solid over there. Can't forget about the Nelsons, Dylan Nelson in the 25, Trevor in the 71.
Yep,
They're going to be
yep,
pretty competitive as well. I'm sure if Kurt Myers is over there, Alex Myers in the 21M is going to be over there too.
yep. And if like Tommy Richards come over, he's always tough in the 7R machine too.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun to have him over too. All right, and then modifieds. Who's your pick in the modifieds?
Ooh, this is kind of a tough one. But my pick for the WISSOTA modifieds, I am going to go with. Boy, this is really kind of a tough one to see who's really good at Fergus, but I'm gonna stick with the 18 of Landon Atkinson. Landon's really good in Fergus.
Yeah, and let's see. Do I want to be bold and go with one of the locals there, or do I think that a guy like Jody Belfi is going to get it done?
That's a good pick too.
Jody's looked pretty good all season. I don't know if he's his Fergus isn't really his best track, but I feel like he could get a good if he gets a good starting spot, he's going to be really tough to beat.
You know who I think for my dark horse would be, Mason? I'm hoping he got the motor tuned back up because he had some motor problems at the sites. Ryan Gerke, because Ryan has looked really good in Fergus the last about month.
Yes, he has, winning the Bob Gerke Memorial course and was looking really good at the sites until the engine woes plagued him in his heat race on, was it Saturday? I think it was
It was
Saturday.
Saturday. Yep.
Yep. Joey Thomas is going to be tough too. Of course, Shane Zabrowski and his 8 different cars that he races at the 100. He'll be tough. And then you have your locals like Brady Gers and Dusty Bitson, who are always going to be competitive too.
Travis Sauer is going to be, I think, very competitive over there this
He's
year
looked
too.
really good in his mod
He
too.
was going. Yep, he was going for the track championship. We're on the 21X, and I believe we didn't even mention him. But what about Peterson? Tyler Peterson is always good in the mods over at the 100, so I would say he's going to be another tough contender.
Yeah, so as you can see, there's a lot of heavy hitters and names that we threw out there, and that's not like hardly scratching the surface on who's all going to be at the 100. So definitely tune in, check out the WISSOTA 100. It's gonna be a fun weekend. It's gonna be a lot of great racing.
Yeah, so Mason, you will be over there starting tomorrow night on Tuesday, and then you'll be over there for the rest of the week. I will join the action on Thursday. So, because I get back into Bismarck on late on Wednesday, so I will hopefully be over there on Thursday sometime enjoying the action for the final 3 nights.
Yes, I should take a picture of your seat while you're not there.
This is true, but you'd have to find it in the grandstands.
Yeah. No, if people know how I operate during the 100, I don't stay in the grandstands too long, like at different points throughout the night. I'm always moving because that facility is huge.
This is true. And that's why it looks like, even though it's very, very full with people, that it's kind of empty because there's so many different locations that you can go sit, tailgate, camp, and watch the race in action from.
Yeah. Over under how many times we'll hear it's like, oh, it doesn't look like there's many people there.
No, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah,
And one way to know that, just go over there and experience it.
exactly. Do a quick little peek at the national points. We got Tyler Peterson leading Chad Becker by a pretty sizable amount.
Yeah, he's probably pretty much got that one probably locked up for the season.
Yep. Modifieds, we have a tie. This is as of
Whoa.
last Friday, or yeah, last week. So Blake Adams and Shane Zabrowski tied right now.
That's a pretty good one. And WISSOTA's back to their older point system, right? So it's
Yep.
not based on, hey, here's 100 points anymore for actual future winners. And then you got the show points at the top of there. Nope. It's 35 for a win. Your show points are based on your number of cars. And then you've also got your heat points. So heats matter nowadays compared to what they did here just this past year.
So don't be surprised if people race one night and then turn down their spot to race another night to try to see if they can get some more national points. Super
1 point.
stocks. Shane Zabrowski leads Kurt Myers by a point.
Pretty darn close.
Pretty darn close there too. Midwest modifies. I think the lead changed over the weekend. So right as of this update, Tyler Vernon ahead of Joey Jensen by 4, and I believe Joey got 2 wins at the Northern Nationals.
That is correct.
So I think that lead has changed now. So that's also a tight battle. Street stocks, Colton Brower leads Cole Gresseth by 19. So still some stuff to be decided. Trey Hess not too far back, 25 back. And then we finished, we had the Mod 4s, Pure Stocks, and Hornets have their
Yeah, but
big race this
look at
last
the
week.
Mod 4s.
I know, it's nuts. Dean
That is
Larson, Dustin
close.
Oquist tied. Ashton Schwinn 7 back, and Clint Jensen from Western WISSOTA, Midland, South Dakota, 14 back. So that's a tight battle. Pure Stocks, Dustin Puffy leads Eric Crosby by 12. So that's also coming down to the wire as well. And then Hornets is also close. Anthony
That is
Jensen
crazy.
tied with Jeff Roner, and then Brady Falso 7 points back. Now Anthony Jensen, he won the Hornet portion of the MPH.
He did.
So obviously that's going to break the tie there. So definitely national points, very fun to follow this year for WISSOTA.
Yeah, it's a really good battle overall, and I think it's because of how much closer the point structure is this year. It's a lot easier to kind of calculate and follow as well.
Yes. So let's display the white flag and give a shout out to our good friend Brody Carlsrud in the B1 IMCA stock car. He did go down to Supernationals this past weekend. Had a pretty good time, had a little bit of misfortune from time to time, but he did make a qualifying feature, and I believe actually he made the last chance qualifying feature
He did.
as well. Didn't transfer, but making those qualifying features is tough as well. Not just getting into the big dance. So getting some great valuable experience down at the biggest race in IMCA. So be sure to head over to Brody's Facebook page, to Brody Carlsrud B1 Racing and the Real Deal with B1 podcast. Check it out. Thank you, Brody, for your support on the podcast as well. What do you have for wins of the week, John? I'm letting you go first because I haven't written any down.
Okay, so I'll go first. I'm going to pick 3 drivers here. Actually, I'm going to pick 2 drivers, and I'm going to pick a different win of the week. So let's do Cole Schill, of course, for winning the Seitz Memorial. What a great win for Cole. Definitely one of the biggest wins of his career, if not the biggest one of his career with dollar value wise as well. He's won the Stock Car Stampede twice back in 19 and 2020. However, what a great win for him. And I mean, incredibly tough field of 59 late models, and he picked up a hard fought win at the Seitz Memorial. So congratulations to Cole. Second win of the week. You just mentioned him, Joey Jensen. Joey had a stellar weekend at the Northern Nationals, picking up back-to-back wins in the Midwest Modifieds and also the win in the Super Stocks. So great win over there for Joey. Joey's definitely hitting the stride here during invitational season, which is what you need to get that national title. And then my third win of the week. It's not going to a driver. It is going to Brina Sang.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Because she has been a breakout star here in 2025. I got to sit in the grandstands and listen to her do the fuel stop interviews for the late model drivers, and she did an awesome job. She was very personable. She's got her dry sense of humor with some sarcasm in there. And I cannot tell you, Mason, how many people in that grandstands were laughing during that fuel stop. And I even heard somebody say that was sitting a couple rows behind us that was laughing so hard that the grandstand admission price alone was worth just this entertainment that she's providing here during the fuel stop. And it is true because the how she got the drivers to open up and talk throughout that fuel stop was hilarious because nobody was really stuffy during that fuel stop at all. Every single driver opened up and was very personable and made it a lot of fun when she was asking questions or making statements.
Yes, that was some great entertainment. I need to go back because I didn't hear all the quips that were said, but I need to go back and listen to some of those because the few that I caught, oh my gosh, they were great.
She started out a little slow to get more comfortable, and then as she kept going to driver, it got hilarious. I would say my favorite moment on here was she was picking on her dad, right? Father-daughter relationship. She was over there talking to Jesse Glenz, Jesse's like, hey, I've had a great time so far. I haven't even had to use a tear off. And Britta's like, well, that's good. Track is fast. She had made a point that the track was fast. A lot of the drivers were telling her the track was fast. So then she was going back to her dad. Her dad was right behind Jesse in the fuel line. And she said on there, she's like, so let's go back to my dad. He hasn't done he hasn't done too much so far in this feature event, but let's go talk to him to see how he's doing. So just picking right on her dad. It was beautiful.
Yep, it was great. By the way, happy birthday, Brad. I believe you just celebrated a birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to Brad. Brad, hope to see you at the Stampede. I know that would be pretty awesome to see over there in Jamestown for the Stock Car Stampede. And yeah, happy birthday.
Yes, yes, indeed. All right, I think I've come up with three wins. They're going to be a little unique. I'll keep the first one's going to be pretty straightforward. I'm actually going to give a win of the week to Keith Tourville.
Ooh, yes, he's back.
He is back after a little bit of a vacation. He was back this past weekend and he got a couple of feature wins. He won on Friday at the KRA Speedway and then he won on Sunday over at the Madison Speedway. So nice to see Keith Tourville in the 148 back and back to his winning ways, like he never left.
Mason, if he shows up for the 100, he is going to be tough to beat.
That is true. I'm really curious if he's going to make an appearance at the 100. Speaking of the 100, I'm actually going to give a win to the MPH Invitational as a whole. We mentioned 100 total entries, very good field of cars. They had 20 pure stocks, 39 WISSOTA Mod 4s, and 41 WISSOTA Hornets. Like that's really good.
That's impressive.
Yes, that's like I feel like that's almost double from the previous couple of iterations, and so they're just keeping building up that event to be bigger and better. And saw a lot of great compliments from drivers, fans, people kind of tuning in that it was a well-ran event. They had weather issues too.
They
I
did.
know they had, I believe it was like 3/4 of an inch of rain.
The day of, I believe.
Yeah, so they actually got started late, and so kudos to the crew at Grand City Motor Park to get that race in, and it was a very entertaining show. And looking forward to see how they continue to build up that event. And then my last win of the week, we talked about them already, but I want to give a shout out once again to the three drivers that made the big dance shows down in Boone: Johnny Carr in the stock cars, Jaden Pavlicek in the sport mods, and Travis Hagan in the IMSA modifieds. Again, that is no small feat just to make the qualifying features, but to make it into the big dance and be competitive, as they all three of them were very competitive in their respective races. They deserve an extra shout out for representing our local area down at Supernationals.
Agreed.
So with that, any closing thoughts before we wrap up the episode, John?
Well, drivers, as you head to the 100, get there safely. Race hard, have fun, keep your car in one piece, and then get home safely. So that's the most important thing. Have a lot of fun, enjoy yourself, don't be reckless, and just be safe throughout the entire week, because it's always a good time for all of us to get together, enjoy each other's company, race hard, but at the end of it, be safe.
That is also a good reminder for me too, as last year I crashed my drone after the Parade of Champions, so I need to be safe as well.
We're gonna really hope that there's no, casualties in the drone department from Mason this year.
No casualties in the drone department or the hard drive department. That was a great week for me last year.
That was a wonderful week for you.
I think I spent just as much as some of the drivers.
I know, because you made the promo video for the Stock Car Stampede, and boy, Mason, you had to dig through some archives to get some videos on that.
Yeah, so we're hoping for a nice clean week and fun week at the WISSOTA 100. So that'll do it for episode 25 of season 4 for the Track Packers podcast. As always, be sure to like, share, and comment. Let us know where you're watching from or tuning in from. Thank you to our sponsors, Hitch Harness, The Real Deal with Beal and Brody, Carlsrud, and Isaac Hot Sauce Sondrol. Again, another week with big races on the schedule. Whether you're at home or at the track, we'll see you out there back in the track.